You can listen to a song and instantly be transported to a memory or a time period. So you listen to Michael Jackson and Prince, it feels like the 80s. You listen to Tupac and Biggie, it feels like the 90s. It feels like that time period. Going back to Pimp a Butterfly, becoming an anthem, it's not just the music, it's a direct reflection of who we are. All right, so I know a lot of you have already went and seen the movie Sinners, or at least have heard of it. Of course, it's breaking records. And it's got me thinking. A lot of people have been making these comparisons to Not Like Us and saying that Sinners is a Not Like Us, but in movie version. So you see a lot of the same tone, you see a lot of the same themes that we've been seeing in the last 2 years with Kendrick Lamar and the Drake beef. And it's kind of reached this merger into what Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan are doing when it comes to Sinners. So I know a lot of you, this is no spoilers, but a lot of people that have seen it or you haven't seen it, you've already heard about this one particular scene when Miles is playing and the music around it, and it's low-key a little small spoiler, but while he's playing the music, it goes through this evolution, and it shows how the blues has evolved over time. So that's how we got to here. As you can see, the blues was never just music. It was a survival mechanism. Black folks turned pain into poetry, hard labor into rhythm, oppression into sound. That's not gone. It's just changed its name to hip hop. And you can see right here, Kendrick Lamar, the infamous that scream, that goes directly into what we mean about the survival mechanism, the pain into poetry, the pain into art. And once again, there's a small little spoiler, but talk about Delroy, and a lot of people talk about the scene with him, Michael B. Jordan, and Miles in the car when he's talking about the story of his friend being lynched, and he starts breaking down, and he just eventually starts humming, and you see how that transition into blues, and they started making music from that, and it's directly influenced from that pain and that struggle. And as much as people try to dismiss hip-hop as being this lower tier art form, we can go back all the way to the beginning of hip-hop, or even now in modern day, the way that Future talks about drugs, the way he talks about relationships, the way he talks about the money, the pain. There's so many different similarities, not just in the conscious music, but also in, I won't even call it unconscious music, because in a way it's still conscious. It's just a different level of articulation. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. All right, number 2, says hip hop was born in the same soil. NYC block parties weren't just fun, they were resistance. Same as the Delta juke joints. Both were spaces where black people said they don't see us, so we speak ourselves into existence. And you can see, once again, going back to the way that we party as black people, and it showed this specifically in the movie Sinners. Going back to this particular, I keep having to mention a little bit of spoilers, but there's a scene where they're discussing finances, and they were talking about how the people that go to the juke joint, this is a specific type of person. Like, understand they've been working all day in the fields. They're going to the juke joint for a specific reason. So they was talking about what type of currency they should be accepting. So it just goes back to, once again, it's the escape. The juke joint is the club. Understand, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'll even say even on Tuesdays. People love going to a Tasty Tuesday, a Wild and Wednesday. You feel me? So it's a stress relief. And the way that we use it as black people, it's not only to have fun and get, once again, a stress relief, but it's also a way that we can communicate our struggles. It's an easy way to digest our struggles. So going back to even modern music that you may not think is conscious, it's still conscious in a way. So going back to, like I said, Future, but even then, the ATL scene, Lil Jon. Understand, music started out the way that Lil Jon and the East Side Boys used to perform. It wasn't extremely lyrical. It was all, usually it was just DJ mixing beats, break beats, getting on the mic and screaming phrases and screaming chants. And Lil Jon, he took that and he made it Dirty South, put 808s behind it. So even the foundation of the energy itself, you can see how it just continues to evolve. Exactly, you're right. It's the same language, different voices. Talk about this. It said MCs are modern griots. From griots to bluesmen to battle rappers, the through line is oral history. We don't just rap to rhyme, we rap to remember. Ask Nas, ask Scarface, ask Kendrick. They're not entertainers, they're archivists. And I love this part because it goes back to, once again, that the scene, the evolution, but also our ability to take these self-portraits with our music. So you can listen to a song and instantly be transported to a memory or a time period. So you listen to Michael Jackson and Prince, it feels like the 80s. You listen to Tupac and Biggie, it feels like the 90s. It feels like that time period. It's a time capsule that we can listen to. So going back to Kendrick, like I said, we are just celebrating the Not Like Us anniversary last Sunday. And we were constantly talking about where we were when Not Like Us dropped, or Meet the Grams, or any of these surprise drops. Because we can instantly transport ourselves back to a time period. Just keep it on Kendrick. Going back to Pimp a Butterfly, becoming an anthem. It literally is a direct reflection of the time period of that time. Seeing All Right being used at Black Lives Matter's protest. It's not just the music, it's a direct reflection of who we are. So appreciate y'all in the chat. If you're just joining us, this says the themes never changed. The blues, they took my home, my soul's tired. God, are you listening? Hip hop, the system's rigged. I need therapy. I made it out. Same pain, same fire, new tempo. And you see, you got Tupac poetically at the House of Blues. Look at this. And that's one of his most famous concerts. I remember I was doing an interview with Absa and she was asking me if I can time travel to any hip hop moment in history, what would I time travel to? And I instantly said the House of Blues concert. Instantly. But once again, Tupac is the perfect example. And that's the reason why there's so many comparisons to Tupac and Kendrick, because it's not just the sound of the music. It's the intention. It's the intention to archive, to storytell, to make these things, once again, make these extremely complex ideas digestible. If you know the famous phrase, the greatest trick the devil ever played is making you pretend that he's not real. And with Tupac and Kendrick, they're the complete opposite. They're saying, yes, these things are real. And once again, I'm making them digestible, a way that you can easily consume them. So we can look directly at the issue, and now we can actually work through it. And that's literally what Tupac and Kendrick have been doing throughout their entire music, their entire catalog. Especially Kendrick with the Mr. Morale. It's so weird how that's one of the most influential albums that we've seen. And when it first came out, people got mixed reviews because, especially during that time, it was 2020, I think, well, around that time. Yeah, it was around 2020 because of COVID and N95. Yeah, so it had to be, of course, COVID to have N95. But we were getting extremely introspective and reflective because we had nothing but time to sit alone with our thoughts. And I always talk about how 2020 will be studied as a cultural shift, just us as human beings. Because, once again, we had nothing but time to sit alone with our thoughts. And there's this famous Blaise Pascal quote talking about the mass majority of human misery derives from our inability to sit alone with our own thoughts. And I always talk about on this channel how powerful the subconscious is. And I always mention the exact same way you can watch explicit content and your genitalia starts to respond. Same way you think about food, your mouth starts to water. Same way you can dream like you're falling down and you actually feel like you're falling down. Your subconscious cannot tell the difference. So going back once again to the frequency and making these ideas extremely digestible. That's one of the reasons why Tupac, the energy lasts forever. Kendrick, the music is timeless. Because as people, we understand the people that value our subconscious, the people that value our energy. So going back to Gen X, Man at the Garden, it's filled with nothing but affirmations. That's it. Nothing but I deserve it all. The repetition, I deserve it all. Going back to The Greatest Salesman, the first chapter, this first scroll is habits. Reading that scroll 3 times a day. If you're a Christian, prayer. If you're a Muslim, prayer. If you're a Buddhist, meditation. There's every single religion. Even if you're an atheist, Nikola Tesla. The subconscious is inevitable. So the blues itself, the reason why it's going to continue and it will continue to evolve, it's because this is a part of human nature. It's a part of the human experience. And it's our way of dealing with it. Even the criticism is recycled. They glorify violence. They're uneducated. They sold their soul. Ooh-wee. They sold their soul. That one gets me, oh man, that gets me triggered, dog. Same attacks they gave Robert Johnson and Bessie Smith. Same way to discredit black genius every generation. And you all know the famous story about Robert Johnson, the crossroads, and him selling his soul for the ability to play the guitar. And we often see this, once again, you saw that very last line, they discredit black genius every single generation. Now talk about how the mass majority of communication is nonverbal. It's not what we verbally say. It's how we're saying it. Our facial expressions, our tone. It's the connotation of the words we use. It's the perspective of that conversation. All these things matter way more than what we're actually saying. It's about what we're communicating. So when you talk about selling your soul, it's no different than how Doge is getting called an industry plant. No different than how we used to say the Illuminati. But I saw it on Twitter, there's this joke that said that a lot of these rappers aren't even good enough to be called devil worshippers anymore. We got to say that they are industry plants. So they'll say they're CIA informants. It's witchcraft, aliens. There will always be something to discredit. Well, even now with Kendrick, K-bots. It's bots. There will be a conspiracy theory always. So I'll even going back, this happens not just to just black genius. It happens just in all aspects. Even going back to athletes. You'll see somebody that's extremely strong and the first insult is, oh, they must be on steroids. You see somebody lose weight, oh, that must be Ozempic. Must be plastic surgery. The same themes. So once again, read between the lines. The nonverbal communication. What are they communicating? What are they actually communicating? So, Stealing Fire. ALS, I have not. But it sounds like something, Stealing Fire, it sounds like something like Prometheus. If you know the story of Prometheus. So hip hop is the blues. It's the voice of the unheard, the pain of the past, flipped into rhythm, the cry and the flex, all in one bar. The blues never left. Just learn to rap. And understand, that's the reason why I have so much grace for a lot of these artists. So that's the reason why I chose music as the medium, because it's, like I said, easily digestible. So when I talk about music and I'm listening to music, once again, I'm listening to the story. I'm listening to who this person is. And when you listen to a Future, you understand his background shapes his entire discography. Same with Kendrick. Same with Drake. Same with J. Cole. So when I'm listening to these artists, it's almost like it's a way as people, it's a way for, once again, it's just a way for us to connect. It's a way to tell these stories. It's a way to empathize with each other. To realize, okay, cool. I'm not the only person going through these things. Or I'm not the only person that's experiencing these. Because if it were that way, and if we were only focused on the individual musician because of their individual story, if they were so unique, then we wouldn't love you. Like going back to, I know Kanye, he tripping right now, but he has this quote saying that if you are a fan of Kanye, then you're a fan of yourself. And that always stuck with me because that makes sense. Because especially like the stans, they see themselves in someone like Drake, or they relate to that story. They relate to Future's story. The same way me as a Kendrick fan, I relate to Good Kid, Mad City, because the story of Good Kid, Mad City relates to so many different people. Like there's a good kid in so many different like places around the world, and there's a lot of different Mad Cities, especially in America. So